Welcome back, everybody, to Old Bearded Gaming. This is our breaking episode. Breaking in a couple different ways. The game breaks me, in turn, I break the game, and then we may end up just breaking bad. We'll see what goes down here. But uh, attempt 60, it didn't work out, the way we wanted to. So let's get it going. Attempt 61. Of course, it's a water landing. A lot of really cool, interesting structures around. Evil College there on the left. We got a little cathedral church thingy over there on the right. And of course, because it's in a swamp, we've got the pokebirds. We would dodge a little bit of it diving underwater. We play a little ring around the rosy behind some of the columns here. Basically just doing everything we can to try to survive. These things hit fast and frequent. Fortunately, they don't do a ton of damage, but we're taking some. So it's kind of, you run into these guys early game, there really isn't anything you've got to be able to deal with them other than to run away. And we would end up making a nice little break for it, get out of there, keep the run alive. Now, when I say keep the run alive, I didn't mean from my own stupidity. I figured, well, it's early enough game, we've got some damage. Let's see what happens if I poke one of these landlocked guys. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. They still kill you. It's all right. Attempt number 62. 62 would be cold, which, it's kind of a one-up from a water landing. But there wasn't a whole lot to see, so we'd gather a few resources, kind of head on out. We'd find a Mega Battle Tower as well as a Vindicator Witch 4-tower castle. We just nope out of that. We'd end up shacking up with these guys here at this little fort for a little while. Do a little crafting, do a little trading, do a little leveling up. Hang tight for the night. We'd be out after a day or so. We'd end up tackling a battle tower. Unfortunately, we'd end up tackling a battle tower in not a very smart way. I'd sit there and try to pick at this. Couldn't quite break it. Zombies, of course, were coming, which I didn't think was going to be that big of a deal. But of course it's always a big deal, because you've seen my luck. One or two of these start dropping from the ceiling. We end up with an Infernal Geist. We end up with a little guy. All the backtracking in the world is just not going to save you. Attempt number 62. End. That's okay. Attempt number 63. We're still upbeat. We're still cheerful, right? We've got this. We'd end up in a nice little hills biome. I'll take it. Do what we do. Gather a stick. Head out into the world. World was looking pretty lush. Rivers, meadows, forests. Kind of thought to myself a little bit, I could do with this. We'd end up finding an early game dragon skeleton. That's always great. Get some dragon bones early. And of course, we've left the safety of the forest, relatively speaking, for the perils of the desert. But it wasn't going to be all bad. There was a town in the distance. We'd claim this land in a very methodical and organized way. And we'd expand out from the desert, find a little battle tower out in the water. Figured, hey, that might be all right to cool off. It was not all right to cool off. That lore ray beat us down with their literally ray attack. Now, death rays aside, attempt number 64, this would be the beginning of the break. This is where the game started to kind of break me, and I'm not going to lie about it. Not going to sugarcoat it either. There was over 7 hours of recorded gameplay footage for attempt number 64. You're obviously not going to see all of it. You're going to see a very small portion of it. But this was making the best out of the situation that we had, thriving in that environment, and still getting the beat down. And you'll see how it ends up playing out here. We start off in a relatively warm savanna plateau. We'd work our way into the desert, find this giant hole structure, which actually was somewhat fortuitous because there's a lot of resources down there. There was some iron in there, there was some cobble. You know, it was great. There's a waystone just outside of this town, obviously one inside of the town. You know, we'd get into town and kind of set up shop, and I'd start playing it smart. We would enclose the waypoint, completely block it off so that there was nothing that could get in should an event spawn or if a blood moon popped up, right? I wanted to make sure, you know what, we had a way to maybe just get out of town if we needed to, if things got real bad. So I thought, you know what, this is playing things pretty smart. Of course, it's the desert. We're doing everything we can to keep cool. We got water puddles everywhere. We were making some progress. We were finding, you know, some loot here and there. We'd end up finding, you know, a nice little desert fort, which these things are great. You come back at nighttime, you can farm husks, you can farm strays. You're able to get a hold of some of their rare drops, the forbidden fruit, as well as the overclocking ring, useful for making some really nice mid-end game baubles, at least getting those components just kind of out of the way. And so that's what we do. You know, we'd come here for a night or two and kind of work it, get some experience, level up while we were doing it, playing things pretty safe, was feeling pretty good about it all. We'd venture out of the desert because honestly I was getting a little tired of just how hot it was, but it was hot in any direction we went. And we stumbled across this structure, which I'm just simply calling, you know, basically the farmer's outpost. Okay, you can call it a farmer's market, I guess, but there is so many levels to be had here harvesting this wheat. You sleep here for a night or two, all this wheat just grows up, and there's just a ton. We'd actually even get a little revenge, you know, with that nausea there. There's a cockatrice outside. We'd pop it one and feel a little bit better about ourselves. We'd actually end up coming across two of these structures, which was really kind of interesting. But, you know, we took all the levels that we could out of the farmer's place, stumbled across a battle tower, milked it for a little while. This was another one of those scuffed battle towers. You know, we know how that goes, but I wasn't going to linger here unnecessarily. We took everything that we could from it, hopped on out, you know, especially when the spawn started getting a little crazy. Killed a little snow demon. And then we'd encounter something that I'm still perplexed as to what exactly all had happened. So we wander away. I end up deciding, you know what, I'm going to take a poke at this alpha over here, because why not? And then a Reaper pops up before I actually kill him. It would end up being a very disorienting scramble / fight. There were multiple Reapers involved. I really didn't know what was going on. It was very confusing. Kept getting hit with the blindness, with the weakness. You know, couldn't get out of the hole. I'd kill one, another one would pop up in its place. It was just no good. As it was, this little confrontation would utilize and burn through quite a lot of resources. So I was bleeding bandages left and right. We're shooting arrows off. You know, just not really making any progress. We'd kill the alpha out of spite, and then we'd end up getting kind of stuck down in the hole here, trying to dig our way out, which we just were never given the opportunity to really do. You know, you'd break a block or so, and then boom, you'd get that fear effect. My kingdom for a teddy bear. You know, the teddy bear bauble obviously blocks the Lycanite mob fear effect, which definitely something we're going to need to make when we get a serious playthrough going. And there we go again, using bandages. We'd finally get out of there. We'd come across that second farmer's outpost that I talk about, get just a crap ton of levels, and again, deal with the heat. And the heat continued because we found a second desert city, and this one had some dragon problems. But it also was right next to I call it a pirate cove. It's a very interesting structure surrounded by a giant wall. And I definitely wanted to explore that a bit more. So I said, okay, we're going to handle this dragon problem for sure. We're going to make that a non-issue, get some of those glorious resources. And as it would happen, where we would kill this dragon, it would go down in the forest inside of the cove. So we'd channel our inner dream and do a little water bucket way down. Obviously not as grand. We placed the water first and then slowly fell off the edge and picked the water back up. But you know what? I was impressed with myself. We didn't fall over the cliff. We get the dragon. We'd get over there to the landmass. We'd check it all out. It really is kind of a nifty structure. The problem is that it was a little bit scuffed because of the dragon, which had burnt down the entire little windmill station that they have there. So we'd come back over to the mainland just in time to see a blood moon rising. So we'd immediately wall off the waystone, and I'm kidding you not, we sat here for probably about an hour or so just letting the game run. So it completely despawned everything eventually. The town was relatively safe again for us to go out. It was really hot in here, so you know what? We teleported back to Town 1, grabbed some water, went back to Town 2, decided to wait it out. I didn't want to spawn a lot of mobs around Town 1 since that was kind of my primary base, just in case, was not really set to just abandon that location. So we go back and we go clear out the little pirate cove area. There's spawners all over, and there's actually zombie villager spawners, which in hindsight, next time I come across one of those, I'm going to leave those things intact because it's definitely a way to, if we get a purging blade, be able to potentially get a hold of some good enchantment books for relatively cheap by letting them spawn, turning them back to normal, and doing the trading, etc. So. But like I said, we'd end up clearing out this structure, and we'd end up making it kind of a little temporary base. And as you just saw, we were in a meadows biome. We found a third waypoint to add to our network. As it was, I ended up kind of clearing out that pirate cove base, and I liked it being over there because it was a lot cooler. Didn't have to have water everywhere, so I built an intricate tunnel system that actually went underneath through the wall from the waypoint of the desert city all the way to inside of that house. So I thought I was pretty smart there. And just when I was thinking I was super smart, the breaking point happens. I go to sleep, and a Blight Reaper spawns. You got to be kidding me. These things hurt, especially when they get that headshot, like they do there. I was so frustrated, and I know you can't hear it in my voice right now, but when that happened, I just lingered for a while. I was seriously contemplating being done because it was so much time vested. But you know what? That's not what we're about. So Hardcore 65, we were going to get right back on this horse and get back to it. It was not a very clean attempt. I actually thought we spawned inside of a tree. It ended up being just a Tiaga biome. I was taken off guard. It's not water. I don't know, right? So we'd end up in a little village, and that first night, I mean, we're talking right off the bat, blood moon rising. You got to be kidding me. So, you know what? We're going to deal with this. I'd go back to the structure that I had kind of claimed as my base. You know the one. It's got a couple sets of double doors. We'd go in and try to secure this as best we could. Get rid of the pressure plates. I didn't want the townsfolk stepping on them by accident. We'd end up walling stuff off with some fences. We'd farm this as much as we could, as safely as we could. You know, we've got trap doors over the windows. We're peeking in and peeking out, handing it like an over-glorified battle tower. But Blood Moon on your first night in RlCraft, there should be a law against that. It really is kind of a shame, because even if you handle it kind of like how we did, there's still a lot of lingering mob presence out there. We find this Blight stuck in a hole, so yeah, of course I took the cheap shot here, got my revenge for the Blight Reaper. And then immediately the game decides, okay, you've had enough. Because I would go to set out, and here was the green chalupa. Well, I guess technically it's a verdant chupacabra, but you guys understand. It just wrecked my day. I almost thought I got away because the water really slowed it down, and I should have stayed in the water. I did not. I was trying to turn forward so I can run away faster, and that didn't work. So, of course, frustrations are rising. Attempt number 66, Route 66. I figured, all right, let's give it a go. It was a water landing, but this was a very unique water landing because it spawned us exactly underneath the entrance of a barge. So I said, okay, maybe this is lucky. Let's let's run with it. I was actually feeling pretty darn decent with this. We'd get a couple resources, we'd make our boat, we'd head out for the warmth castle because it was getting cold, and in the distance, there's that port city. God, I love that structure. Thought, all right, this was going to be it. 66. We're going to get this going. Nope. Just when I thought it was going, it was not going. Sea serpent. So attempt 67. And this is where we go off the rails. We are going to break bad with this attempt. Found some ways to kind of cheese the game a little bit, right? 2.9, definitely much tougher than its predecessor versions. There were some opportunities to be able to get experience a little easier, to be able to kind of handle stuff, a little earlier, right? It was super easy to get a hold of flying mounts, and we've yet to even get one here in 2.9. So we're going to take this run as kind of an opportunity to really kind of exploit the weaknesses of the mod pack. And you'll see and hear from me in kind of some live commentary. But the run starts out fairly, standard. We're in a bit of a forested area. We do a little bit of exploring, branching out. We end up climbing over the top of this hill here, and we find one of those tower structures. I've never made a base out of one of these. I figured, well, you know what, we might as well give this a try, because honestly, there's a lot of space here. You could really set up well. It's pretty well defended. It was occupied by Jabberwockies, and I had a stick. But you know what? Wasn't going to stop me. I was bound and determined to make this place my base. We were going to get in there and just clean it out, even if I had to poke them with a stick, from elevation. And that's what we'd do. So we'd make this little jump, we'd get in, and I'd close the door because they're trapped in here with me now. Come across a zombie villager, which really took me by surprise, but we'd lock him up, beat him with a stick. Sorry, dude. What was good for him, good for the Jabberwocky. Took a little while, but I wasn't in a hurry. I was going to be very methodical with this. And with the last of the Jabberwocky dead, we'd set about securing the place, cleaning it up, lighting all of the torches and beacons. All of the redstone needs a quick little switch just to turn them on, but the place was looking good. And now for the cheese. We're going to go to a live recording to just set it up and explain what we did and how we did it. All right, so let's take just a moment and explain what we've built, how we built it, why we've built it, how it works, what you need to get going with it, and what you can get from it. That's a mouthful. Let's get right into it. So while looking for a way to make a Silex farm, okay, to get more Silex meat so we can make avian treats, be able to tame a rock, be able to start flying, and really add another depth layer to these hardcore playthroughs. I came across a video from some nuts guy, and that was the inspiration for this. What a fantastic content creator, honestly. He's got a video for everything, really has a firm mastery of RlCraft. Certainly check him out. But he shows how to create, this body of water that you can put in your base to create silixes, okay? And you can start farming them with lapis, which is fantastic. In the process of doing that, I discovered that there's a kind of an interesting way to, I guess, abuse the mechanics of the mod pack and be able to basically create an infinite XP farm, which is just fantastic because honestly, every hardcore series that I've ever seen, one of the first priorities that folks do after they get a little survivability is they look to make some sort of an XP farm, right? You're looking to be able to do those enchants, repair your gear, whatever the case may be. So in the process of doing all of this, I've found one for 2.9. in previous versions of RlCraft, there were ways to be able to make mob farms and things like that. In 2.9, there was some talk that you could do it with the poison sources, the purple stuff, the blue stuff, the green stuff, right? The goo that's out there in the world. You can get at least 7 source blocks of that and maybe make a farm around it. It never worked for me. I couldn't get it to spawn more than 1 or 2 mobs every couple of days, and that just wasn't going to cut it. So this is definitely the way. We've got it set up here. We're in the super early game. As you can see, I've got just onesie points here and there in agility, farming a little bit in defense to be able to wear some chain, and we were starting to work on mining when we got this. But you can literally do this with ones across the board. Okay, not necessary to have anything more than that. And what this is going to do is it's going to take advantage of the level up mod pack, and specifically the fishing proficiency. So in order to get this started, and we'll get into the details of it, you will need 11 experience points to put the first point into fishing proficiency. That's what it costs. There's 10 levels of it. The first one costs level 11. That gets this going. And as this gets going, you're going to be getting so many experience levels. You reinvest it back into this to make it even more efficient till you cap that out. You get a 50% chance of hooking something extra. And extra means treasure items when fishing. Okay, and we are going to be abusing this word, hooking. No, we're not walking the street. This is the actual mechanic that the game is looking for a hooked attempt. Okay, and we're going to kind of trick the game a little bit. So let's just see the setup. Let's just get right to it. So from the Some Nuts Guy video, you need a 3x3x3 body of water to be able to fish self-contained. Now, you don't have to do this in your base. You can do this out in the open. Obviously, it's a little more exposed, more dangerous, but it will work. Okay. You need your 11 points. You got to put that 1 point in the fishing proficiency. And then you need a fishing rod. And the fishing rod is pretty basic, pretty simple to get a hold of in the early game. You need 3 sticks. You need a bobber, which takes 3 wool. One of them has to be dyed red. Super easy to do with a wild berry on a crafting table. And then you can make that. You need to be able to get a little bit of iron ingots. You're going to need 5 in total, okay, 4 to be able to make the basic reel. And then you're going to need 1 additional to turn into iron nuggets to be able to make the fishing hook. All of that together on the crafting table makes your basic. Okay. Now I've updated mine. I've gone with the long cast reel, which gives me 150 meters worth of playtime. The trick, the goal is to elongate how long the fishing attempt takes, which makes a big difference in terms of how much experience you can get from all of this, right? You want to keep it going. That's the end net effect of everything. And so having the longer cast reel, which you would need to make an additional basic reel and then surround it with string, so it takes a little bit more iron. But again, not necessary, not mission critical to be able to get this going. So the way this works, you're going to cast this out like normal, and then we are going to move this fishing rod to our offhand. That's a keybind. It's the F key to move an item over there. And then we are going to put a consumable item that we are capable of using in our main right hand. So because I have some thirst, I'm able to use a water bottle. So you see that little motion there, okay? That little motion when I'm clicking, right-clicking to use, when the fishing game is going, is registered as a hooking attempt, a successful hook, okay? So by spamming this while the fishing game is going on, and here it comes, we are going to be able to get items. Look at that. Went from level 2 to level 3. Now we're level 4. We're getting some items here and there. Quite a lot of them are dropping to the bottom. That's why, if you notice, we set up some hoppers. I'll show you what that looks like in just a little bit. But we're not interested in catching the fish. In fact, I got to keep kind of an eye to make sure that we don't accidentally catch it. Because that's not what we want. We want to leave this out there and we want to keep doing this. But basically, we just want to keep spamming the right mouse button while this goes on. Now, eventually, the fish is going to get away, okay? And that's fine. But we can just leave the bobber out there. And when the fishing game starts again, this is where spending a couple diamonds to make a shiny hook is kind of nice, because then that improves the fishing, the attraction attempts eventually. You can build one that has some lure enchantments on it as well. Now that we're getting up here in the 90s, I'm going to actually move that. Oh, and it got away, and that's fine. So from level 2 all the way up to level 17. That's insane on one fishing attempt. And now every point you put in here is going to give you another 5%. It's just going to get more efficient. So I need 29 levels to be able to get to that next level. Okay, so I've done this a couple times already just to really start getting it going. But it, like I said, it starts working immediately with just the one level. And then it's going to get faster and faster as you reinvest that experience back into that. Additionally, you're going to be able to unlock and utilize some of those levels and enhancements that are usually reserved for mid to late game in the level up mod. Stuff like Iron Skin to reduce incoming damage by a flat, 50% at max level. Shield blocking proficiency, crits, overall just basic melee damage, arrow speed increases, archery improvements. As you see here, I'm just chasing the fish around a little bit just to kind of keep it, but I got 150 meters worth. It's probably not going to get away, or I mean, it's probably going to get off the hook before I run out of the 150. But we just keep this going, and we're up to 21 now. There's tons and tons of items that are being had for us here while this is going on, and we're going to show you that after this fish gets away. But we just keep that going. There we go. So we are now going to take our fishing rod off, okay, and look at that. This is loot that I picked up from the surface before it could fall. And there's some loot that just always floats, so arrows, bones, and apples, okay. But there's some good stuff in here. There's some iron in here, charged ingots. There's gold, sugar cane for making paper for trading with, to be able to get expand the enchanted books from librarians, Neptunium ingots. I mean, this is crazy. But come take a peek down here, because this is going to get even crazier. So you may or may not have seen those hoppers in the bottom of the pool, and there they are, and they're feeding this chest system here. And we need this many chests because it doesn't take this long to overflow it. But look at what that netted us. Look at that. That's absolutely crazy. So we add these items in here that we skimmed while we were doing it. Sort that up. I mean, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. We've got troll leather. Now all we need is to actually find and kill the troll to get some tusks. I'm pretty sure we can't get tusks from this, but we've got the troll leather. We've got charged emeralds, basically hand grenades. We've got golden apples, which are great to be able to do a little regen, right? Before we can get some regen rings. We're going to have tons of ammo from all of this, the bolts, the arrows. All of the chain gear that we get, we can drop right into in fact, I'm going to need to make one, a chest that feeds into a smelter. We're going to need to go get a lot more coal too to be able to break that all down so we get even more iron out of all of it. And then, emeralds, obviously, for trading. Diamonds, can be had. We can even get, we don't have it here, but, you will get the, what is it, the heart of the mountain, I guess. Let me see here. This guy here, Heart of Diamond, that we'll be able to get, which will let us be able to create the resistance rings. And honestly, everything that we need is going to be able to be got from the fishing, from this treasure loot, to be able to just straight up craft them. Okay, that's amazing. That's just amazing. So this is going to make, like I said, the early game quite a bit more palpable. It's going to really kind of streamline things for us a little bit, and that's how we do it. So I'm going to go do this for about an hour, and then we'll come back and I'll show you what we were able to accomplish in that period of time. 1 hour of just straight doing this to see what we can get in terms of leveling up, experience, and in terms of the overall loot that we get. Now, a word of note that I found in researching this a little bit, because I wanted to see if others had discovered this as well, and sure enough, they had, although their method seemed to be a little bit different. They went about it as basically the same setup, but they would try to catch the fish. And I guess by holding that item in the offhand, if you leave it at 0.00 meters, it automatically does it. right? Like you don't have to do any clicking. You just have to move the right and left arrows to keep the thing on the fish the entirety of the time. And then it automatically does it. Well, that works, obviously. So user preference, I guess. I found that I got a little bit more experience and more items by doing the clicking manually and just letting the fish flop around, out there without having to really pay too much attention to the minigame. Mileage varies. You do what you want to do with it, right? Additionally, I found apparently this has been patched successfully and I guess there's another version out there that shows you how little I know. I updated to 2.9 and we started the series with this, but I guess there's now 2.9.1C all the way up there. There's been multiple updates. I guess RlCraft and C finally has patched, I guess, this particular method. So we're going to be using it for this playthrough. We're going to be seeing if this gives us the foot up that we need to really start getting into some additional content here with our hardcore run. But let me know what you think about that, guys. In future runs and attempts, if we should continue to keep doing this, or if we need to consider doing an upgrade, starting a new series on the new update and release for RlCraft. But like I said, we're going to get this going for about an hour here. We'll see you guys on the other side. All right, guys, welcome back. It has been 1 hour of nonstop fishing, more or less. I actually had to stop my timers several times to kind of unclog the hopper, deal with some FPS issues, and even research some machinery that we're going to probably end up making in terms of like an automated garbage chute, so to speak. Because we get so many items here, and some of it's worthless after you have a stack or so of it. Like you'll never use all of it in any given playthrough, and so it's not even necessary, right? I'll explain a little bit more once we get there, but you may be wondering, well, Old Bearded Gaming, why are we staring at the ceiling? Well, we're staring at the ceiling because as we start to look down, the FPS starts getting a little wonky. We're down into the 60s or so, down into the 20s here and there. It's really getting crazy. So we're going to pick up these floating items here, which we've had to skim the surface every now and then. You see all these arrows and bones and apples in the inventory, and this is probably the fourth pile every 15 minutes or so of that. So looking up improves our FPS. Looking down, and let's just take a quick little peek over the edge here, and you can see this pile sitting there stuck in the hoppers. So let's go take a look and see what that's all about. You can see our sprint makes us sprint quite a bit more. And before we show that, let's look at the experience, see what we were able to do. So in an hour, I wasn't able to completely max out everything. So I went about spending the experience somewhat strategic, right? So we got everything up over the 24 mark. That was important to be able to use Dragon Bone stuff, right? Really not a whole lot more stuff that we can do past those levels. We'll get there for sure. And then started pushing agility up towards that 32. We're going to go in and we're going to spend these skill points in these categories because there's some really neat effects there. Word of warning, though, I do not like using the Hungry Farmer buff here. If you read what this is, it automatically eats, and it's really wonky what it decides it wants to eat from your inventory. So you can be out there in the world in the middle of something, and all of a sudden it starts eating raw food, giving you debuffs in the middle of intense combat. Definitely not something that we we want to have happen. So I don't pick that one. But so yeah, so not a bad haul. Leveling those up to what that was. Let's take a look at the level up menu here. So we put a couple points, into stone coating. We'll get some more in there. We maxed out sprint speed and athletics. Which athletics, of course, gives us basically feather falling type of impact. It reduces the amount of fall damage we take, which is really good. Of course, the sprint speed. Crafting, we've got our fishing proficiency, of course, maxed. That was the very first thing that we spent on, and that enabled us to really be able to get a lot of these levels. In fact, I started timing it once that got maxed out. It took roughly about 15, 20 seconds if I was unlucky to be able to go from 0 experience to 30 levels. 15 to 20 seconds. And after level 40 to get, 41 and 41 to 42, etc. Usually took anywhere between 3 and 5 seconds. It just depended on how lucky we were on that 50% proc chance. So again, this is just so amazing. But here's where we spend a good bulk of it. We still have a little bit more we can put it into shield proficiency. I did max iron skin though. And this one, it's only 5 levels and it starts going up quite a bit. That 5th level costs 51 experience levels to be able to purchase. And then similarly here, we were able to max out our random crits, melee damage, 9 out of 10. We've got another level to go here. That takes 53 levels to max that out. So these start really getting up there. In fact, they kind of go in set increments. Depending on if they have 10 levels or they have only 5 levels, right? There's even some that have, if I remember right, woodcutting has like 20 levels, right? So there's a different scale for each one, but generally speaking, it's like 11, 17, 23, 29, 31, 37, 41, 43, 47, 51, 53. And 53 being the most expensive one I've come across. So, and we still haven't put anything into stealth. So we're definitely going to get this all capped and maxed out because why not? We're going to sleep here because it's nighttime. Please don't be a Blight Reaper. Oh, thank goodness. Whew. We are a god among men in terms of our skills and levels, but we are still incredibly squishy because we have not built any armor to take advantage of any of it. So now what you're probably really looking for, let's talk about the loot. So the loot's impressive. In fact, so much so to the point where I had to every 15 minutes or so come down and pull out all of the chainmail that was clogging up these hoppers and these chests and put them into a smelt system. And I'll show you that over here in just a second. Because it was just it was ridiculous. So we built a feeder here. It's empty now, of course. Burned through pretty much almost all the coal, but we smelted so much chainmail to the point now where I'm realizing with all the iron ingots that I get from the farm, the chainmail is completely worthless, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I don't need these nuggets, and it's going to take time to convert these into ingots. Because as you can see, as we look through here, there's a couple stacks, of iron per each one of these chests. Just sort it up and just make sure, yeah. So, in fact, yeah, let's resort. But yeah, let's get a closer look at all of this here, right? So we've got multiple stacks of the Neptunian ingots, okay, and that stuff's just fantastic. These hearts of diamonds, right? Super hard to get out there you have to be in the dark. You got to hold a diamond. It's got to be really low Y level to be able to come across those stone lanes. And then there's only a chance that they drop it if you kill them. And if you can kill them before they run away. So we've got more of these than we're ever going to be able to use. We're going to make exactly 2 of the rings of resistance to get level 2 resistance. Have that buff going all of the time here in the early game. But yeah, so no, that's fantastic. We've got troll leather. We've got all 3 flavors: frost, we've got forest, we've got mountain. The armor set's kind of cool in terms of if you anticipate really getting shot at a lot by arrows, it has near immunity to damage taken by arrows, which is kind of cool. But primarily, we're going to use a couple pieces of it to make an avian saddle. The rest of it is just going to be kind of discarded. There isn't anything else we can really make with it aside from that armor set. These barometers and photometers, again, as far as I know, they are completely worthless, so they're going to just get into the garbage chute. Charged emeralds, again, these things are kind of cool, but they only stack to 16, and they're not overly impressive damage considering we're going to be able to just destroy stuff once we get our melee weapon going, we get our crossbow really going and updated. So we may keep a few of them around. There may be some use cases, maybe some dungeon work or something where we want to use these. Maybe the first battle tower or so we come across. You got to be careful though, because you can take damage from these yourself if you don't throw them far enough away. So they're kind of cool. They're plentiful. But yeah, more or less, those can kind of go in the garbage. The golden apples. Now, these are fantastic. We're going to be kind of keeping golden apples with us at all times just because they're so good. You can eat these even if you're completely full, which is fantastic. They don't offer any water to replenish thirst, but when you eat one, take a peek. We're going to get a little absorption for 2 minutes. You see that extra golden heart there on the right-hand side? It's 2 hearts worth of absorption, and we get about 5 seconds worth of regen, which is kind of nice. So if we break a couple hearts here and there, we can pop these sporadically to get a little regen effect going. These are just fantastic to be carrying with us all the time. So we're definitely going to be doing that. Additionally, inside of all of the loot, we've got plenty of sugarcane that's going to allow us to make just a crap ton of paper to really get librarians going, so that we can find out what their trades are. And I've actually found through just a ton of research I've been doing on RlCraft, there's really a nice way to progress librarians that is very cost efficient. So they originally start with 1 book. Basically, what you do is you do 1 paper trade with them, and that levels them up to the next stage. You then do 1 plain book trade, which is usually 9 or 10 books. You do that 1 time with them, get an emerald, right? And then that levels them up to the next stage. You then take that emerald you got and you use it to purchase some glass from them. They have glass blocks, right? That then levels them up again, and it brings their second book around. So for fairly inexpensive, you can bring them up to the second level, find out if they have anything worth hanging on to, right? Let's get through the rest of this. So plenty of prismarine crystals, prismarine shards. This stuff's great if we want to make some lanterns and whatnot. Of course, we can do some Stone of the Seas, with our Neptunian ingots and these things to be able to breathe underwater, have that bobble going, which is great. We got buckets galore, more buckets than we know what we're going to be able to do with, so we'll keep some, trash the rest. We got some slime balls. These are useful for making heating. Heating goo and cooling goo, so we can make some Aussie liner stuff if we end up not getting lucky with some of it from battle towers. Obviously, there's ender pearls to be had. Quite a lot of ender pearls here. We can use these to make a couple different things, but they're just kind of handy to have around as well. We've got emeralds, we've got diamonds, we've got iron. There's gold to be had here, right? We've got tallow, which I don't really have a need or use for. Again, this is kind of a garbage thing. We've got plenty of iron bolts. These things are great. They're armor piercing. They do 1.5 damage. These are fantastic. We're going to put these in our quiver. We're going to be shooting these. I don't have to make diamond, which only gives us a 2.0 base damage modifier. So, and then with the buffs that we're going to get from the level up mod with the archery stuff, iron is plenty fine until we can get infinity, honestly, on our crossbow, and then it's basically a non-issue. Tons of iron lockpicks. These will be great for just about everything we come across because we can just burn through them as we need. All save for the occasional lock where the complexity is too high and we do need to use diamond picks. But again, diamond's not an issue. We can get quite a few of them through this process here. So yeah, no, this is just absolutely fantastic. The loot, look at that, 32 hearts of diamond, just nothing that we're ever going to be able to utilize all of. So this has been pretty crazy. We're going to clean this up. Like I said, I'm going to spend some time. We'll just max out everything, experience-wise, just get that done. Have that ready to go. We'll do that off of the live. Do it as part of our edit, but make us up, some good stuff here. We're going to be able to make our reforging stations once we get a little obsidian, which to that effect, there is, if I can find it, let's take a peek here. I went over to that structure. You may have seen it in the edit earlier. Really nothing going on over there. I don't know what's there. We'll come back to that to take a peek. There it is. That's what we were looking for. Lava. So there's definitely some lava source somewhere inside this mountain here. We're going to burrow into that. We do have a battle tower over there. It's a nether battle tower, which are always kind of crappy, but we're gonna clear that out eventually. But I want to get over there and get some of that lava because we're going to need it to get definitely some obsidian. But we're also going to need a lava source to be able to make our garbage disposal system. So hopefully we'll have that all done by the next time we pick up live, and then we go out and start venturing out into the world. This whole process has given us a huge head start. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content here, what we put together, what we've discovered and cobbled together. And again, I'm not opposed to just saying as well, hey, we're going to give this one go, see how far we can get with all of this. Again, we're going to get back on track with our main purpose of this series, and that was to basically beat RlCraft, and that includes knocking out all of these quests and achievements that we have to do. So we're going to be working our way through all of this. Hopefully this is the world that we achieve all of that. And if we want to start up a new series with the latest update that renders this particular method of XP farming irrelevant, then we can do that as well. So we'll pick back up with the editing. I just wanted to pop in live, share this information with you guys, show how we got to what we did, and we'll see you guys again in the edit. And the edit picks back up with us deciding to go ahead and make our garbage disposal system, because when you're getting copious amounts of experience points, it sucks to have to stop in between to just go empty the hoppers, because we still didn't have nether quartz to be able to make an automatic sorting system. So garbage, though, wasn't going to be a problem. We'd get over there, get that lava source block, bring it back, put it in the hole, get a dispenser set up, and we'd build a very simple, you've seen it in probably 1,000 different videos, just a redstone clock. What I did learn was RlCraft has a problem with one-tick clocks. So they break immediately after 8 ticks. So you have to set your repeater with a single gap. So it's a 2-tick clock, and that will run continuously with no problems. It's a tiny little bit slower, but it's more than enough to keep up with the flow. And as you can see here, we separate at 1. We've got the 2-tick going. This would work perfectly. It wouldn't break. We've got the lever. We can shut it off if we wanted to go back and collect items again and start building up the chests. We connect the hoppers, test the system, make sure that that everything was working fine. And you'll see here in just a second, we open up the chest, and sure enough, the items are decreasing. The bucket's going down, feeding through the chute, and it would all go out in the trash. Interesting little funny side thing here, when it goes to get rid of the charged emeralds, it actually treats it as if it's throwing them, causing lightning to strike when it happens. Didn't break anything, but scared me for a second. Was pretty cool to see. Might end up making some automated turrets down the line, I don't know. And yes, I would be so confident in what we were doing. I built an entire storage system for the over 150 different enchantments that exist. Don't judge me. Confidence would continue. We'd get ready to go out and explore. This battle tower was first on my list, and so we just go in and handle it. We were wearing diamond, somewhat enchanted gear, just basic stuff off the enchanting table. Nothing too crazy or fancy, although having that high jump too really kind of threw me for a loop. Not used to it, so I've got to get back used to it again. And we just go floor by floor. Really not anything crazy here, but boy, what a difference having those levels and experience, as well as just a couple baubles, being able to re-roll them, get those half hearts, get the undying, get healthy if you're lucky, right? Just to have some more survivability, and then be able to have the resistance going by able to make that double resistance potion rings. Really, really helps with survivability. But even with that survivability, yeah, poison's not a thing. We still don't have a Bezoar yet. But you still got to be careful. You're not invincible just because all of the level up stuff is maxed out. You still are going to take damage. Things are still going to potentially be an issue. So you got to be smart about it. And it's very easy to get a little overconfident because all of a sudden you're a little stronger than you ever used to be at this stage in the game. We just keep working our way down, killing the mobs that spawn, break the spawners, leave the chests to come back and loot. Obviously, we were getting a little full up with our inventory there. And we get all the way down to the very bottom, dig down past the Guardian, the Golem, and go to do the cheese that you've seen me do a couple times now. Nothing overtly fantastic inside of this one. So we'd take what we want and go to pack up. And then I'd do something stupid. I'd go to try to get my hopper back. And in the process of doing that, the Golem noticed me. So here's the first real test of, well, how powerful are you in the early game? Well, not enough to be able to straight on take one of these guys, unfortunately. So we'd be able to do a little bit of damage to him, just not quite enough to be able to outperform the damage he was doing to us. And in a sheer move of brilliance, I grabbed one of the potions of recall. They pop real fast, and it took me back to the last bed that I slept in. Thank goodness. So we'd leave the battle tower alone, we'd venture out, find a dragon not too far away, handle it. Find another dragon not too far away from that one. We'd handle that guy too. This one was a pretty green one. Find a third dragon not too far away from that one. It was a red one. Decided we were just going to collect the entire Skittles bag here and piecemeal together some dragon armor once we got back from our exploring. Problem was I wasn't finding anything. There was no villages around. There was no waypoints to be seen. So we headed out to the open ocean, and I found this yacht. The yacht had a villager with a Fortune 3 trade. I thought, heck yeah, we're gonna make that trade. We're gonna mark it on my map so we can come back again. But as you can tell, I was getting a little full. Backpack was full, inventory was full. We needed to probably turn around and head home. That's what I should have done. So I headed out. Noticed that sea dragon there off to the left. Decided to head back to what I thought was the relative safety of the yacht. And said, well, I was going to do the smart thing. We're going to shoot this thing at distance. We're going to kill it, get it out of our way, carry on, maybe find a little town, and warp back towards where our base tower was. This dude flips out. He takes a couple bolts. I missed there. Don't know if that would have been the one to be able to do him in. But, yeah, I thought I was safe. Apparently he can shoot right through solid blocks. And even our cheese attempt ends in disaster. So you're not all powerful by taking advantage of it. I think we will probably utilize that same tactic again. I still got a few runs here, I think, left in me on this. We're going to get it going again. We're going to get 68 up and running. Hopefully it'll be the one to go. I don't think I'm going to spend nearly as much time as I did making the bases pretty as I did with this tower. But I hope you guys are liking what you see. Stay around for the ride. This is OldBeardedGaming. Take care, everybody.